Welcome back to another week of Beg, Borrow, Steal, whilst all the eyes in Spain will be on the El Clasico derby. Quietly in the background, just going about their business, Europa have one heck of a chance of qualifying for the UEFA Champions League. We've got 8 games left of the season. So in a moment, we'll show you our upturn in form as well as that league table, but we have news to update you on first, starting with the transfers, and we had our first real big offer for one of our players. It wasn't from Real Madrid this time, nor the might of Sunderland, but from Germany's RB Leipzig, and the offer for Davide Barose was in excess of £10 million 2 seasons ago. I would have bitten their arm off. Barose wasn't really a player who was performing very well, but now he's one of our key men. And it speaks to the strength of our finances that I was able to turn this offer down without really batting an eyelid. But our keeper is not the only person that is in demand. No, yours truly got a job offer, or the offer of an interview at least, from AS Roma. And Italian job offers are like catnip to me. But this is, of course, a one-club save. We're trying to take Europa all the way to glory, so we can't bail on them now. But for this story to maintain the interest levels that it's set so far, we of course need heroes, legends, if you will. We've been blessed with one already in the form of Landa, but he's 31 years old now. He's not going to play on forever. Who's going to pick up the baton once he retires, I hear you cry? Well, do not worry. The scouts have been doing their bit behind the scenes, and they found us Llama CHINCHILLA, whose contract expires in a year. This young whiskered mammal is currently playing for Levante. Does he have the attributes to be a Champions League striker? He absolutely does not from the early signs, but he is a very fluffy mammal, and I would consider signing him just to have a player called Chinchilla. I would put him in the starting lineup just to see him scurry around in the new Europa Stadium. It's going to be a nervous 12 months to see whether he does indeed run down his contract, but if he does, we will be there ready to pounce and bring the Chinchilla to Catalonia. But that's for another day. Let's show you our form and the league table, and then today we've got what on paper seems like a winnable game, but we've had some trouble against teams towards the bottom of the table. So I've reversed the order of the fixtures so that you can see them more clearly. And as you'll see after Friday's episode, we were on a run of 3 winless games. Not just winless, we were defeated in each of those fixtures, including exiting the Copa del Rey to a club from the division below. And in Friday's episode, our fierce rivals Barcelona had taught us a moderate footballing lesson. But good news, since then we've recovered and we've rallied, and it involved a little bit of a Hail Mary. Going into the Alaves game, I made the decision to send 14 of our first-choice players on a week's holiday so that they all missed the Alaves game. I thought maybe if I could just freshen the squad up, giving all of our top stars a week on the beach to recuperate, might they come back and be able to go on a little bit of a run? Well, so it has proved. We had some pretty unfamiliar names in the lineup. I signed 3 loan players for the remainder of the season, literally just to play in this one fixture in essence. We brought in a couple of youth players. I even called a couple of other ones back from loan spells just to try and fill up the bench, and we were still 1 player short from being able to make a full matchday squad. But they performed admirably. We managed to get ourselves a 1-1 draw with our Irish midfielder that we signed on a Bosman transfer in the January window, Kieran Murray, coming in and scoring a goal, and he has started to perform well in training. He's picked up a couple of goals and a couple of assists now since he's joined the club. Could be a useful addition, that young man. It meant that we had a much fresher squad for our next batch of games, where we managed to beat Rayo Vallecano 2-0 at home before a 2-0 win against Real Sociedad. That was not a bad old performance. We had Brendan McComb on the score sheet, another player who's starting to train pretty impressively now. He's always in our top 3 trainers every week when we get the coach's report. He's now started to see some little attribute bumps as well, including get his acceleration up to 14. His pace is already there on 15. If both of those could go up again, he is going to be a dangerous striker, I think, at this level, considering the finishing and the composure and the off the ball that he can bring to proceedings. He's still learning Spanish, but I think next season he could be a dangerous marksman for us. After the Sociedad game, we then played Real Betis. It was a tight one. We scored early. We huffed and we puffed, trying to make the game more comfortable. We couldn't find another goal. That was another game that McComb scored in before one that was a little bit more disappointing. We travelled to Almeria, bottom of the table, and we were 2-0 down against them and looking like we were going to struggle. But we did rally. We changed things around a little bit, brought our defensive midfielder into an attacking midfield position, and it helped us get back into the game. But having got the game back to 2-2, I was hoping that we might press on and maybe salvage another victory from that game. Wasn't to be, but we did at least keep our unbeaten run going. And then in our most recent game, we played Villarreal. We had to wait till the 77th minute to find the winner. The player that scored it was one of the 3 loan signings we bought in on deadline day to try and give our other players a rest. Adam Ida has actually turned out to be a pretty decent player, a bench player for us. Granted, we're not going to develop him at the expense of our own players, such as McComb, but he is another player that I think might get some minutes between now and the end of the season, and he got the winner for us against Villarreal. To today's game, we're up against Tenerife, another team that are towards the bottom of the table, but they are the teams that we've struggled against. So let's check out this table in full then. 8 games to play. That's 24 points still to compete for. We are way too far behind Real Madrid to really be in a title race. In fact, I think Barcelona in second are probably too far behind Real Madrid to make it a title battle. We're also quite a far way behind Valencia in third place. We trail them by 6 points, so I don't think getting as high as even third in the table is going to be a possibility for us. But look at the gap down to Atletico Madrid. We are 5 points clear of them and 6 points clear of Athletic Bilbao. It gives us a little bit of a cushion that could be wiped out in part today if we lose our game and both of those clubs win theirs. But we're certainly looking good for qualifying for Europe because Betis in 8th are on 45 points. So it looks like it could be a second European qualification campaign in a row. But it's also looking like it is very much in our hands to qualify for the Champions League, which would be a huge tonic to the finances, but also to the progress we're making in this save. Back to our fixtures to talk through the episodes that we're going to bring you between now and the end of the season. Today will be the Tenerife game. I think it would be remiss not to come back for that Real Madrid game as well, because around that time, if things have gone well, we could be securing Champions League football. If, however, it goes deeper into the season than that, we have Athletic currently in 6th place on the last day of the season. Certainly a tasty game for us to come back for. But we've got to get out there today against Tenerife and try and get ourselves a win to keep our great run of form going. So Tenerife are one of the teams that are struggling towards the bottom of the table, but they are not the teams that we found the easiest to play this season. So this is by no means an easy fixture for us. I think we're in that territory now where we're so near the top of the table that smaller clubs really are setting up against us to try and frustrate us. And because we are still one of the poorest teams in the division, we are performing above all expectations. I think we do struggle to have the quality to break teams down at times. But we need to get results against the likes of this kind of club because we've got some difficult games coming up, including that Real Madrid one, and Athletic Bilbao on the final day of the season is going to be another difficult game. With that in mind, we've got the highlights going. McComb gets the byline, wins a corner. We're very early into this game. We've made a reasonable start. We've got Linguet taking the corners, because all of our other corner takers must be out of the side at the moment. But Colombo surges forward, trying to solve another mystery. He's got the ball to Ita. They've given it all the way back to their keeper. And the highlights fizzle out. We're back into them again, though, on 5 minutes. We've got Ida coming very, very wide. We've got Cordoba now as a Carolero rather than the attacking midfielder. Getting a ball into the box. And Murray, who is the central midfielder on attack, puts his header just wide. They probably should have done better. We're not going to have this game all our own way. We've slung the ball back into the box. Lingue's picked it up. Pacheco, the halfback. Cordoba, now the Carolero. We've got space out wide. We've not used it. And Ida is in and he's scored again for us. I bought him in on loan just to play in one fixture to give all the other players a rest. Not sure he was even fit enough to come off the bench in that one fixture because he was carrying a little knock when he joined. But he's actually the player that we bought in on loan who I think is going to feature the most between now and the end of the season because he has got in and scored another goal for the club. Starting to become an interesting alternative to our other striking options, I think. Highlight time again, 34 minutes now. Don't concede straight away, having just worked so hard to take the lead. We've got to stop this ball coming in. We've finally won it through Barossi. Who would have thought we'd be calling him one of our stalwarts and key players when we were down in the Segunda Division? And we were actually glad that he was missing for the playoff final. But he is only that. He's our number one keeper now. Although, by the way, I am tracking an absolute wonderful goalkeeper who could be available for free at the end of the season, as McComb means that both of our strikers have scored this afternoon. But there is a German keeper playing down in the second division who would be fabulous, I think. That he's another one of these players that's decided not to negotiate with any clubs until his contract has fully expired in the summer. We will go back for him, just as we were planning to do with our Irish midfielder Murray. Eventually, we were able to get him to accept a contract just a couple of weeks before his contract with Bohemians expired. Maybe this German keeper could be the same. Of course, in a year's time, we will be pursuing the Chinchilla with ferocity, I think, because if you could have a player in your save scoring goals called Chinchilla, well, that would make it one of the best saves you've ever had. 35 minutes on the clock, 2-0 up. We're looking good now, aren't we? In some of the games where we've not played that fluently, we've gone behind and then had to come forming our way back into the game. But in this one, we've started pretty strong. 3-0 after 36 minutes. McComb again. I genuinely think McComb could become a real goal scorer at this level. I think he's still only 21 or 22. He arrived with a mohawk, and I spent ages trying to find a picture for a new gem with a mohawk. He's rewarded me by growing his hair out after 6 games and making me look like an absolute fool. But if he carries on scoring goals at the rate he has today, I may well forgive him for it. We've got one more highlight before half-time. Rosanna's playing on his opposite foot. Makes it difficult for him at left-back. Can't really get to the byline and put crosses in. But he plays better than our alternatives. And we've got the ball to McComb again, and he's gone past his man. And he does what McComb often does in games. Fortunately, he's got the cushion of having already scored twice for us, but that was another decent opportunity for him. But not a bad first half of football, I think you will agree. So I think in the second half, we might even have the luxury of resting a couple of our players. We'll also try and keep an eye on some of those results on the teams below us in the table as well. Could we try and stretch our lead over the team in 5th and 6th places? 10 minutes are gone in this second half. The highlights are underway again. And it looks like it could be another one for us. Simao gets the ball out to Lingue. But it's a poor pass and is intercepted. And we've got work to do. They have played a terrible ball out to their left winger. Actually pinged it at his own face. And we've won the ball back. Here's McComb. We know he's quick. And he does show a clean pair of heels. And he is brought down in the box. And that's got to be a penalty, hasn't it? I can't believe the ref is even going to go to VAR on that. He was clearly hacked down. Of course, the penalty is awarded. Can we stretch our lead to 4-0? A good manager will know who his penalty taker is. I didn't. It's Ida, and he's missed it. And that's not the first penalty we've missed this season, by the way. I think that is at least the second, possibly the third. And after a good first half, we got all the way to the 60-minute mark. That penalty, well, that would have meant that we could have a real rout on our hands today. As it is, if they score from this highlight, I'm not saying Tenerife are back in the game, but it's certainly going to be a little bit twitchy for the final half an hour. Colombo, again, putting all the clues together back there, and he's driving forward, and he's got one of their players through, and that is the second opportunity they've had this game that really should have ended in a goal. On 63 minutes, I think we will look to rest a couple of our players and see if we can give some of the legs on the bench a bit of a run out. Okay, they've got the ball in the box. We've won it again. Pacheco, Cordoba. Could we try and build a move from here? Rasanas gets the ball over to Johnny. Not produced as much as some of our other signings, Johnny. Macoum is in again. He really should have had a hat-trick today. Played pretty well, I think, hasn't he? The highlights continued as well. Alex Blanco. Maybe it's going to be them that finish the game with a good chance. We've won it back again. The Macoum chance must have been the highlight that continued. We've got one more change to make. I think we'll make it now. And I don't think it will be a striking one because Rossi is still recovering from that knock. Maybe we're going to bring Landa on for Cordoba. And we might just move him to be the most attacking of our midfield three. And if Landa could add to his tally of goals and assists in this final 5 minutes, well, that would be the end of a rather wonderful performance. If it's going to happen, it happens here. He did his part, didn't he? He still puts in a fabulous set piece. And the veteran is very much a useful player for us, even when it's off the bench. So we could have done even better in this game than we actually did. Ida, if he'd have had that goal allowed and his penalty not saved, he could have got a hat-trick. I've noticed he's also got himself 2 assists today, so he's played pretty well, even though he missed his penalty. How does that leave the league table looking? We need to have a look at how Athletic Bilbao and Atletico Madrid have done in their respective fixtures, but things are looking good tentatively at the moment. You know I'm not one for optimism, but we are on a decent little run, and we could take this club into the Champions League. We have managed to extend our lead. Doesn't look like Athletic Bilbao have played, but Atletico Madrid have gone down 2-1. You can't quite see the result. They've lost to Villarreal. That gap will be closed a little bit if Athletic Bilbao win their game. But otherwise, we might be able to stretch our lead a little bit further. I'm thinking the Real Madrid game is the next one that we come back for. 2 more games to bring you before the end of this season. But things are going oddly well in Begborough still.